And we will be in a supine position today. So if you need to set yourself up with any props, we'll start out with a little bit of movement, but then you'll be reclined. You can do this sitting, but it's a little bit more relaxed if you're able to lie down with any props that you have. Also, an ability to cover your eyes can be useful as well. If there's any technical difficulties, send me a message on the chat. And that is it. So to start out, come into a standing position. Front edge of your space, separate your feet hip distance apart. With an inhaling breath through your nose or mouth, if you're congested, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands lower down through center all the way open. Inhale again, open the arms. Feel free to look up, little neck stretch. Exhale, hands float down, chin to sternum. Inhale again, arms rise up. With the exhalation, hands lower back down. Open the arms by the side of your space and start to shake everything out. Fingers, forearms, upper arms, shoulders, torso, hips, legs. If your knees are good to go here, no pain at all, disconnect your feet from the earth and create a whole body hop here. Optional sound to let go a little bit of tension, deep breath in. Pause, soften your gaze, take a moment to notice little tingles, sensations. With an inhalation, reawaken through your eyes, expand your arms back up to the sky. Exhale, lean over to your right side, left arm up and over. Inhale through center, exhale opposite side. Create a little stretch through your side body. Inhale to lift, exhale arc. One more time. Inhale to extend both arms again to the sky, torso level. Exhale, lower your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingertips back behind. Stretch your knuckles back. Open through your front body. Root into your feet. Lift the mid and upper back. Expand through the front of your heart. Chin can lift a little bit, mindful that the head is still even. Not putting too much weight on the neck. One more inhale. With the exhalation, return your torso back to level. Release your hands. Final motion. Inhale to sweep, arms to the sky. With exhalation, hands to your heart space. Little twist over to the right. Inhale through center. Hands pass through middle. Exhale, gentle twist to your left. Two more times. One time to visit each side. Inhale through center, lift your arms back to the sky. Exhale, release your hands all the way down. And find your way now to the earth, ideally lying down in a supine position. Adjust for comfort here in your low back. So if you need something underneath of your knees or bend both of your knees, one knee resting to the side of the other. And if you have that prop to cover your eyes, go ahead and do that as well. And take time to make any final movements here to adjust, to land and settle in your space. And take a deep, full breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. One more time, deep, full breath in. Exhalation to let it go. And from here, to give your mind a little bit of focus and guidance, Let your attention land at the soles of your feet. And invite some ease and relaxation here to the bottom of each foot, the top of each foot. And let your toes be soft. The heels, releasing any unnecessary tension. And relax through your calves, shins at ease, the sides of your lower legs softening. Then take your attention to the bony parts of your knees, also to the underside of each knee, the softer tissues. Allowing these areas to release any holding. If you find that your mind is very scattered in this moment, honor whatever is unfolding there. Use my voice and the guidance of different body parts as a little anchor to come back to. Also know that at any point, if you begin to drift off, this is welcome and honored. And from here, take notice of your upper legs, hamstrings, quadriceps. And invite in some ease there. Allow your whole lower body to be held, supported by the ground. Release any tension from your hips, inner groin, glutes, low back. Relax through your abdominal muscles. Soften through your lower ribs. And release any tension from your mid back. The sides of your body, the ribs higher up, letting go. The upper back, soft, held. And take note of what's present for you through fingertips, the space between each of your fingers, palms, the outer part of each hand. Relax your forearms, top side, underside, then the bony part of your elbow, and the softer inner eye of each elbow. Release tension from your triceps, biceps, the top of the shoulders, the trapezius muscles. Relax through your throat and neck, the front side, back side, and sides of the neck, soft. And release any tension from your chin, lower lip, upper lip, the jaw, right side and left side. Even soften here through your tongue, the upper palate inside of your mouth, cheekbones, temples, letting go. Release any unnecessary holding through your ears, the ridge of your nose, eyelids, soft, heavy, the surface area of your forehead, spacious. Invite the back of your head to be held, sides of the head and top of the head. Releasing any tension there, even if it's super minute. Invite in a little bit of added softness. And from this place, envision the whole layer of your skin like a gentle, nurturing blanket, softening. And release any tension from anywhere that's left. And allow your muscle tissue to unwind and unwrap. And let your bones be completely held by the ground. Full permission to simply be here and receive this time that you've carved out. And if you notice that your mind is still bouncing around or aggravated, let your attention be somewhere where you can trace the gentle, natural movement of your breath moving into your body and gently moving out. When you find your mind taking over, come back to noticing the rhythm of breath. Whole body letting go here. I'll be back in a little bit to guide you back out. And very slowly bring your awareness back to your physical body. And take one hand to your belly center, one hand to your heart center. And take in a fuller, active, deep breath through nose or mouth. Exhale through your mouth, letting it go. Again, deep, full breath in. Exhale to let it go. One more time. Deep, connected, full breath in. Exhale, soften your breath. And gradually invite some waking motions through your toe tips, ankles, fingers, and wrists. Feel free to take on some light with your eyes. Stretch arms overhead or to the sky. Open through mouth, jaw. And with the soft inhalation, hug your knees to center space. Roll over to right side or left side in a fetal position. Pausing there for a brief moment to offer gratitude for your physical body and all that it does for you throughout the day. And with care, root a hand to the ground, rise back up. Take a supportive seat. Feel free to use any prop that you need to create spaciousness through your spinal column. Eyes relaxed here, partway or completely. As you settle in the upright seat, either bring the palms to connect in front of heart center or one hand flat at the heart and the other hand on top of that. In this pause, take note of anything that has moved for you or has arisen for you through this time, carving out some space in your day to pause and to hopefully restore a little bit. To acknowledge yourself, your dedication, each other's company in the virtual space. Gently bow head to heart center, celebrating your wisdom, your strength. Namaste.